suddenly you're just in a frame trap where you're frozen there for a second that ends with you being carved up into the pedestal.
An unfortunate series of events for Infernape, but certainly not out of it. We'll be going on into the bottom half of the bracket. Meanwhile, we are going to get Synnister knucking up and throwing down against Pawnmaster, another very established player here in the state of New Jersey, Princeton's very own, looking to have the eye of the tiger against the World Warrior Ryu. Young Link versus Ashoto, and goodness gracious, it's like watching Sumabato all over again with this Ryu. Synnister looking to hope to replicate the same results as Asimo was able to get just wow, it wasn't even just over a week ago now. Goodness gracious, how time flies.
What an absolutely crazy run, right? Synnister, in his own right, though, a player who's been on the rise up, or up here in Tri-State, a region that used to not have a lot of Shoto practice until he came along. But now they have it in spades because this guy has been tearing up New Jersey as he tries to do so again. Right now, though, the story has been, Stu, that he cannot find a way past these fire arrows, past these bombs, and past these boomerangs because Pawnmaster has been locking him out.
I mean, typical of the Ryu to get zoned out, right? But then again, we are going to see now just how far we can go with the Shoto, with the World Warrior, as Ryu going to, well, the answer is not far enough to recover. 2 stocks to 3 for Pawnmaster, but it's not like there isn't an area of opportunity when you do win neutral, right? So that is, Pawnmaster has assessed correctly that the solution to that is just always win neutral. Like 80, maybe even 75% of the time, you ought to be good. You won't be eating significant enough damage to get KO'd unless that happens, because if you are Synnister, you're not going to get every single opportunity in the world. You have to maximize your chances.
And Synnister here has been doing so well, even now as he gets put off stage. Have to look for the Tatsu, who burns a jump, but barely with the resources used. Is that Shakinetsu to find his way in, that true fireball going to cut through the bomb. Now the focus is just find a way back down, and Synnister gonna play very grounded here. Watch how disciplined he is with his jump-ins there, the tomahawk, or the empty hop into the grab, going to find something. Every time Synnister has jumped in here on Pawnmaster, it's been to call out a projectile flow, and he's able to find the hit. He's able to find the advantage state just like that. Now though, Pawnmaster is able to find his way back, pushes himself back in the corner, takes some space, and starts to slow the pace of this game down, right? Once Ryu gets in your face, that's where he's terrifying. So once Pawnmaster has his wall break, once he lets Ryu in, it's all about getting away as fast as possible.
Exactly right. And even though you do have some of the better aerial boxing options in the game, for example, we saw just how active that down air can be. I mean, it lasts approximately 1 patch note, but we are going to get just a little bit of trickery, the jab lock into the Tatsu, and that is going to take it to 2 stocks to 1. Synnister hanging on, but at full rage. You're not going to get much off of combos, but you don't really need that anyway. All you need are just those confirms from down tilt into fireball, and all of a sudden you've racked up 36%. You are just cruising, and Tatsu is going to be outrun by Pawnmaster. 1 stock apiece now at 50%.
Beautiful DI there to find his way out of dodge and find the punish with the sword in his own right. However, focus attack, even though that back air is a multi-hit, right, it's just a little bit too slow to find its way through. So now Synnister once again finds that jump, finds the hit, gets his feet back on the ground. He has been so efficient with them in this position. Now it's up to Pawnmaster to try and force him to jump win on terms that are not his own, to carry him off stage and potentially find a way to steal this one.
Looking for that opportunity, but not quite finding it. Still Synnister with the damage lead, and has been doing so well with the chances he's gotten. But again, quick little kick to the face, knocking Pawnmaster back, and all of a sudden that platform setting him up perfectly with the forward air, and Pawnmaster survives a test from Synnister in game number 1 to go up 1-0. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest victory, but what can we say? Good players win pretty games. Great players win ugly ones.
And Stu, like, what were we saying? Right? It was about these jump-ins and how can Pawnmaster start to find a punish on them. Yes, we saw the hit once. Yes, we saw it twice. But it was when they started to not push you into a full advantage state, then Pawnmaster was able to answer back after them. That led to those last two interactions to take the stock, to take the game. And Synnister needs to find a way where if these jump-ins are connecting, they're pushing you off stage. Because if they're not, and all of a sudden Pawnmaster gets a swing back, then it almost feels like you've lost no matter if you hit your combo or not.
And now as we go to game number 2, again on small battlefield, down throws into what looked like nothing, but maybe trying to call the shot early on. I am liking what Pawnmaster has been able to do when Pawnmaster has gotten up close. You might as well throw in some of those grabs and throws, right? Because it's if nothing else, you get a varied offense. You might as well want to give those looks just so that Synnister isn't just mindlessly blocking, because you know that you have really good decent enough throws and really good aerial options, as Pawnmaster is more than happy to demonstrate. 3 stocks to 2 now off of the forward air, but you definitely want to make sure that Synnister is not just sitting in shield, because that is how you get yourself in trouble, even if it's not the most optimal route.
I love that he just literally land through him, Jostle be darned, and then used auto turnaround to find that jab back. Like, literally, Ryu breaking ankles with some of these hits into the Tatsu, spin to win, find the stock like it's a game of Beyblade. No matter what lead Pawnmaster has been able to find, it has never been comfortable. Oh, that being said, he was able to steal game 1 away. Now he has one in turn. It is very much the World Warrior on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's really just been a matter of being able to control that negative space, even though Synnister is able to threaten and make himself seriously something to consider with the fists, obvious, as was very well demonstrated by Synnister there. 2 stocks to 1 now for, again, the very, very potent Synnister. But we're seeing now the uppercuts getting thrown out. You're only able to tack on so much damage. Maybe you're missing just a little bit as you're at over half rage. You're not, obviously rage isn't the factor that it was in Smash 4. Otherwise, I get the feeling that that we'd see more of Dila in these brackets. Shout out Dila, how you doing? But we are going to see now the Tatsu at ledge. Ryu still very potent in this game and certainly in this matchup. And you're going to get caught with the Shoryuken. You thought that you were the hunter. Turns out you were the hunter. The World Warrior gets on the board.
You just can't swing in Ryu's face like that, right? Like, he's got weak tilt, he's got down tilt, he's got P-jab, he's got weak ab, he's got Shoryu. Like, this man's got get-off-me tools up the wazoo. And, I mean, you said rage isn't half of what it used to be, but listen, man, it's still got a Harvard law degree because, I mean, hey, it's a video game. So, if you're raging here, you're still raging against me.
You already know. And I do appreciate the, I do appreciate the Morello reference. Good stuff. But you got the, yeah. No, hey, look, I dig it. Either way, we're going to get it's game number 3. Have an extra platform. So we're going to Battlefield, and Pawnmaster with an early advantage, a decisive one at that. But how quickly that can change, we have learned. So basically, Pawnmaster needs to get this stock off and needs to get it quick. I mean, just peppering with these projectiles is not going to be enough because, goodness gracious, Ryu does have a comeback mechanic. It's called his fists ritual.
And I mean, when these parries, right, we talked about it often with Jazo, often with Ken, but don't forget about Ryu, right? He can get that parry game too. And when it's on lock, this character goes from scary to terrifying, right? This is a man who haunts your nightmares worse than the Slender Man. Is Ryu when these parries are online, because then he doesn't have to worry about Boomerang. He doesn't have to worry about Young Link utilizing these options to allow himself ways in that he can follow safely. You just run on it up and just say, actually, I'm on offense now. I'm going to take the jump in. I'm going to find the combo, and I'm going to be the one to push you off stage.
And looking for even more now, not just content to eat off of his own plate, trying to steal some food off of Pawnmasters as well, but Pawnmaster saying, hey, you're going to keep your social distance real fast, and it's going to be a KO off of the forward air. 2 stocks apiece now as Pawnmaster getting pieced up a little bit off of the offense, and Synnister, I don't really know if this is conducive to, success per se, just kind of swinging on shield like that. Again, if Pawnmaster can find him to mix up with that hook shot with the grabs, then I get the feeling that you're going to have to utilize the back throw as well.
Once again, it's that jump in neutral air that's just doing so much work, right? The jump in dare, where you're just coming in, finding that spike, into putting them in the front state on the ground, into a combo, finding the Shoryu there in turn, and all of a sudden, we've seen the same situation play out games 1, 2, and 3. Synnister's up 2 stocks to 1. Pawnmaster's not too far behind. The question is, how can he keep you out? How can he slow this game down? How can he find that chip damage to give himself an opportunity for that advantage take, find the stock before Ryu puts you at the death percent?
Yeah, this could very well be the death percent if Synnister plays his cards right, but at 2 stocks, trying to find the way back, the D-tilt going to put him off stage. Pawnmaster in real trouble here, but is going to hit the Uno reverse and almost gets the KO off of that. A little bit of a fireball and a GameStop trade that Synnister is going to be none too happy about. That is going to be a beautiful win there. And, I mean, what we saw from that game, let's be real. I mean, nothing short of inspiring effort from Synnister, right? Because you were talking about wanting to control the game from pillar to post, and Synnister was not necessarily doing that, was not controlling neutral the way that perhaps you wanted it to, but you'd have to equalize one way or another, and you do that through fireball. Like, that's the only way that you really know how to do it, and we saw that especially on that last stock ritual. Yeah,
the fireball use, especially there at the end, just honestly started to make the difference. It showed a pace of play mix-up for Synnister that he had really started to go away from. He showed it at the beginning of the set, but since then, not so much. And you saw that Pawnmaster's adjustments kind of didn't account for it. He got run over by it at the end of the day, and that's why we're seeing Synnister come out just barely on top in that nail-biter of a set.
Yeah, it was a close one. And again, that last KO at the ledge, it is a rough go of it if you really think about it for just a second, but it is going to be Pawnmaster going into losers quarterfinals. We'll be facing off against Tio, interestingly enough, and Infernate, by the way, will be facing off against Pizza Ant in losers quarters as well. But yeah, we're going to take a look at this last, at game number 2, where again there were just so many things that happened in this set. And looking at this again, we saw we would see at the end of game number 1, right, where Synnister had the Tatsu outrun, so you know that you can't just rely on that as your be all end all, and that wound up costing them the game almost. But you saw again, beautiful on the KO, that trade to get it. And Pawnmaster, great effort at the end of the day, but it took a lot of varied offense. You can't just KO off of the Tatsu like we saw Ryu's. Like, I mean, let's face it, online Ryu basically lives and dies off of the Tatsu. But again, you're seeing a little bit more inspired Ryu play, maybe since Sumabato, but just overall, Synnister definitely a good example of that, and it's going on to winners finals as a result.
And remember to, like, Yink and also Toon Link both love to find those bomb combos, and one of the best moves at shutting down bomb in the entire game, in my opinion, is that Shakinetsu, because not only is it a multi-hit, is it a big multi-hit projectile with high priority, it's also got the fire property, right? So it just blows up those bombs, but then that's one hit, and then it just keeps on going. So even though you can only have one on stage at a time, it moves so slow, it's so big, it controls so much space, that it just shut down so many of Young Link's zoning options, where as a character, he wants to toss these projectiles, but then follow them in. And so if the projectile suddenly disappears and then